get rid of the Chometz, V'tikas Chometz, V'chivas Chometz. But nonetheless, try to give a little more explanation on certain points, and other points we discussed last year, so we'll try to get So we'll just start from the beginning. We all know Chometz is also on Pesach. We have to get rid of our Chometz, and we all work very hard to make sure that there's no Chometz in our possession on Pesach.
It's on.
Yeah? So it's a deraisa for a person to own in his possession Chometz on Pesach. He can't own it. And also to have in his reshus, to have in his house, so to say, in his property, to have Chometz is also an issue, as we'll see soon. So a person cannot have Chometz in his, either own it, wherever it is. He may own it in Tokyo, wherever he owns it. We'll see about the questions that come up if you own Chometz in Eretz Yisrael and Pesach starts there earlier. It's not yet Pesach here. We'll get to that. But a person cannot own Chometz, and he can't have any Chometz in possession. So we do three things in order to rid ourselves of Chometz. The first one is we physically get rid of Chometz. We clean the house, we burn the Chometz, we get rid of it. Tashpisu sa'arim b'arteichem, you have to get rid of the Chometz from your house. That's one thing we do. The second thing we do is we mevatel Chometz. We say twice. We say by B'dika night, kol chami v'chami, any Chometz that I have in my reshus that I know about should be bottle lavi hefker ka'afa da'ara. We're going to explain that. But that's the second thing we do, which is bittul. And then we do it again after we burn the Chometz. We say any Chometz that I don't know about, that I know or that I don't know and I know about. Either one should be bottled. So that's the second thing we do to get rid of Chometz. And the third thing we do to get rid of Chometz is we do a mechira, we sell Chometz. So we're going to talk about all three, why we need it all three, why isn't one enough, and what the benefits of each one is. So the first thing is Medaraisa Bebittel Sagi. It's really enough to just go ahead and be Mavatal your Chometz. Like we discussed on Shabbos, if a person is leaving town 30 days before Pesach. So it's 30 days before Pesach. So it's not Chalan and Mechiv Bedika. He doesn't have to check his house. Midrabanan, one has to check his house fully. But Medaraisa, it's really enough even if he's not leaving 30 days before Pesach. Even right before Pesach, the Gemara says if he's going Hoylach Lishchait as Pesach, he's already traveling to Shechtas Korban Pesach. Well, Lamalas Benoi, he's traveling to do a milah. He's busy, and he didn't check his house for Chometz. He didn't do any bedika. He remembers where it was the last few weeks, but he wasn't. He didn't get a chance. So he could be mevatel b'liboy. He could say, "I'm mevatel all the Chometz," and that's enough. So Medaraisa, it's enough for a person to just go ahead and be mevatel the Chometz, and that's enough that he's not over bal yirah bal yimatzeh. He's not over any surim. He's clean for Chometz. Now the Rabbanan came ahead and said, well, they're not so happy with it for one of two reasons. One is because he'll come home after he finishes his bris milah. He'll come home, or whatever he's doing, and then he'll see a nice piece of bread on his kitchen table, and he's hungry, and he'll forget. Momentarily he'll forget his Pesach, and he'll eat, because it's not like other foods that are usher, that during the year, you're normally careful from it, so you're not going to eat it. But bread you eat all year, so you might forget and eat it. Today they have bread that looks like matzah, chometz matzah. Yeah? They have chometz matzah, you eat all year, and if you eat it on Pesach, you chayiv chometz. It's real chometz. Matzah that's made, it says chometz on it. You buy it all year, it says chometz. It's not 18 minutes, it's chometz. So you can eat it, the thing is chometz. So a person is not necessarily as careful, or he's used to eating all year, so therefore, midaraisa, even though midaraisa, it may be enough to say, I'm a vatul chometz, but then you'll walk into your house and you'll see chometz, you might come to eat it, so you have to do bittul, midrabanan, you have to actually get rid of it, destroy it. That's one reason. And there are more reasons we'll come back to soon, but that's the main reason why, even after you mavatul, which works daraisa, you still have to go ahead and get rid of the chometz actually. And for this reason, selling the Chometz wouldn't work either. Because you could sell the Chometz, but it's still sitting on your dining room table, and you might eat it. So it's not enough to just sell the Chometz, even though if you sell it, it doesn't belong to me. It's not my Chometz. We'll talk about that later. But if the Chometz is around the house, and you're just going to go ahead and eat it, that would be a problem. But midaraisa, on a daraisa level, just saying, I'm being mevatel the Chometz, I'm getting rid of the Chometz, that's enough. It's not your Chometz, it's not Chometz. We'll see in a minute exactly what it does. And that's sufficient that you're not over your Chometz on
How can that be? I mean, midaraisa, it's lo yirah, lo yimatzah.
Okay, so let's understand.
That takes care of the lo yimatzah part, doesn't take care of the lo yirah part.
I'm still going to see it.
Huh? Yeah.
Lo yirah doesn't mean you can't see it with your eyes. There's no issa to see Chometz on Pesach, right?
But I mean, it's to have it around.
It means to have Chometz around.
I always thought that's what it meant.
Okay, so let's understand. What does it mean, I'm a vatal Chometz? It's important to understand it because we say it. And if you look at the Mishnah Berurah, he says that the person should say it in a language that he understands. He should say it in Hebrew and then repeat it in English. He should say it because he has to know what he's saying. You can't just, it's not just a chant you say and the Chometz disappears. You're actually doing something. So you have to understand what you're doing. So what is this process of being mevatel the Chometz? So there's four main ways of understanding this in the Rishonim. Okay? 4 ways of understanding how bittul Chometz works. Now, there may be some nafka mina, some differences in halacha, but generally speaking, it doesn't have such a chiluk halachically, but just to understand what you're doing, there's a difference. So, what are the 4 ways? How do we understand what bittul Chometz means? So, the first way, we'll say, is the way Tosfos learns, and that way is something which we commonly know as hefker. And we actually say it. We'll have hefker, and bottle kafadav, it should be hefker. What's hefker? You don't know what hefker is. I say, this thing is hefker. I raise a hefker, and now it doesn't belong to me. Anyone could come and take it. So now let's understand what this means, how I make it hefker. Normally, to make something hefker, I have to stand up, and I have to have 3 people around. 3 people watching, as I'll say. And I'm mafkir to fnei shloisha. Let's say I want to have something safe. I don't want any more. Anyone can want to take a side. Call 3 people together. I put it down and I say this thing is hefker. And if I say this thing is hefker, I relinquish my possession on this. Anyone can come and take it. So it's not mine anymore. It's not mine anymore. So that's one way of understanding it. So I have Chometz in my house. It's like I sold it to the guy. Except I didn't sell it to the guy. I made it hefker to anyone. Anyone can come and take it. So anyone can come into my house. And they find any Chometz, they can come and take it. It's not mine. So that's how Tosfos learns. And even though normally that doesn't work unless you do it in front of 3 people, and we know bittul I could do in front of anybody, so Tosfos gets around that problem. But what they learn bittul is it's a process of making it hefker.
That takes up the problem. Your chutzner is immediately coined back for you.
My chutz is kind of back, yeah, but I don't want my chutz to be kind of back. I'm making it hefker. I'm not, I had you don't want my chutz to be kind of because I'm getting rid of it.
You can make something hefker in your house. It's in your dalaramas, kind of. I mean, it's in your, not your dalaramas, but it's in your...
Yeah, I can make something hefker in my house.
Really?
Yeah. Now there is a shita in the Tanaim, Rabbi Yossi, that holds that hefker is not actually out of my possession. Hefker just means, the Rambam calls it mitam neder. Hefker just means that someone could go and take it. But until that guy takes it, it's still mine. So according to that, it wouldn't be sufficient to make it hefker, because I can make it hefker, which means that if you want, you can come and take it. But let's say nobody takes it, and it's still sitting there. Does it belong to me, or it's like in no man's land? So there is a shita that holds that it's still mine until someone actually removes it from my possession. Hefker just means I'm allowing someone to take it, but it's not actually removed. But the halacha l'maisa Tosfos holds that the psak is that if I say it's hefker, it's out of my rishus. And
that's where one would understand hefker, right? It's not yours anymore.
Whose is it? It's nobody's.
It's nobody's.
It's nobody's. Yeah, that's a simple way of understanding hefker.
Other. I mean, it can't be hefker as yours.
Yeah. No, so according to Rabbi Yossi, the pshat is that it's, by saying it's hefker, I'm allowing anyone to take it. But it's still in my possession until someone takes it. But okay, we'll hold like that. We'll hold that it's hefker. I got it out of my rishus. That's the first way to understand bittul. I say it's hefker.
If something's hefker, it now belongs to nobody, could you now not reclaim it?
I could. After Pesach. After Pesach, nobody took it. Yeah, that's a good point. So let's say I make it hefker. I made it hefker, and now after Pesach, I want to take it back. So technically, I could go and take it back after Pesach. It's not a problem. It was hefker, and now I'm taking it back. I'm not over the Chometz shovel of a Pesach. We'll see. Halacha l'maisa, you can't do that. You can't make it bittul and then take it back after Pesach. But according to this, where I just made it hefker, it's not mine, and now I take it back after Pesach. So no problem.
So that's very cute. Some guy makes it hefker in his house. Nobody knows.
Right. Nobody knows about it.
Nobody's going to come. And then after Pesach, ding. Okay, it's mine again. I mean, that's
Did you sell, when you were selling your Chometzes, are you also selling the back, which is hefker?
Okay, now this is a very good point you're bringing up, which we'll discuss later. Well, that all these three processes we do don't exactly agree with each other. They contradict each other a little bit. In other words, if I make it hefker and I'm selling it and then I'm burning it at the same time, what do I do? We'll have to see how they fit together. That's a good question. Yeah, we'll have to get to that. So that's the first way to understand. The first way to understand is I made it hefker. The second way to understand is the Ran. The Ran says it can't be hefker. It could be hefker. You can't make it hefker unless you do it in front of three people. There are rules to hefker. You're not making hefker. So the Ran introduces something which other Rishonim use, which is fascinating, which is like this. We know that Chometz on Pesach is osir b'hana. You can't derive any benefit from Chometz on Pesach. Right? You can't use it. You can't even not just eat it. You can't use it for anything. You can't have any benefit hana from Chometz on Pesach. I can't use it to hold something up. I can't use it. I can't have any practical benefit. I can't have any physical hana for sure. Right? Can't put it on you. Spread it on you. So something which has no, you can't have any benefit for it. Something that's isur yana has no value. Has no monetary value. So technically, Pesach comes, whenever the time this happens, whether it happens at Erev Pesach or Pesach night, the time comes where this Chometz is osir b'hana. It has no value. So something which has no value, many Rishonim hold, something which has no value, I can't have possession of it. I can't own something that has no value. Ownership means it has a value, but something which is void of value, it has no. I can't use it, so it has no value to it. So I can't own it anyways. So really, the Gemara says like this: there are two things which are eina b'reshusei shalanim, which are not in the possession of the person, and the Torah puts it in your possession in order that you should get an aveira. In order to be over on it. So one of them is there's two things: there's bar b'reshus aram, which we're not going to bar b'reshus yachad, I'm sorry, which we're not going to discuss, and then there's Chometz. Chometz. It's not mine. Come Pesach, it's not mine. Because it doesn't have any value. It's not worth a penny. So it's not worth anything. I can't have possession on it. So I can't be over the lav of Bal Yirah, Bal Yimatzeh if it's not mine. So the Torah goes ahead and puts it back into my possession. Even though, by the Torah saying, Bal Yirah, Bal Yimatzeh, don't have Chometz in your house, the Torah is actually putting this Chometz back into my possession in order that I should be over Bal Yirah, Bal Yimatzeh, and now I have to get rid of it. So technically, Chometz is something which, according to Dinei Choshen Mishpat, I shouldn't have any possession on it. But since there's a din that the Torah says that I shouldn't have any Chometz in my possession, what do you mean I shouldn't have Chometz in my possession? This Chometz is anyways not, it has no value, it's not in my possession anyways. So the Torah actually puts it in my rishus in order that I should be over by Rabbi Matzah, and now I have a chiyuv to get rid of it.
That's how we know that the Torah puts it back in.
Yeah, because the Torah tells me to get rid of it.
It says by Rabbi Matzah. So something that you already...
The Torah says tashbisu, get rid of it, yeah.
And we would have assumed I don't have to do tashbisu because it's not there anyway.
Right.
So the chiddush is, guess what?
It's still there. You know what he's saying?
What are the verses? Are they two separate verses that tell you not to have it?
Yeah, Bal Yirah, Bal Yimatzeh, you shouldn't have it, and there's a mitzvah saseh of tashbisu to get rid of the Chometz. So the Torah puts it into my rishus. So Dr. Ran, okay, now we have another concept. If any of you learn Bava Basra, you'll see this in the Gemara there. There's a concept called siluk. Siluk is a step less than hefker. Hefker means I take something into my possession and I throw it out of my possession. Hefker, I make it hefker. It's like I take something and I throw it out of my house. Siluk means I remove myself from the possession of this object. I'm misalik myself. I remove myself. I am no longer the owner of this object. Now, normally you can't do that. I can't stand up, okay, this belongs to me, and I say, okay, from today on, I'm no longer the owner of this object. You can't do it. I have to take the object and remove it. I have to say it's hefker. I have to sell it, to get rid of it. Siluk means I am removing myself from the object. It's not in my possession. So that normally doesn't work. But on certain things, it works. There's certain cases the Gemara has where it works. So let's say you have there's a question if there's a partnership on a object. So if one partner could remove himself and the other partner will automatically own it. There's a question, sometimes you have this concept of siluk where I remove myself from possession of the object. So he says in this case, where in reality I shouldn't own it anyways. And the Torah is trying to strip it back into my house, so I could say, don't want it, I'm not taking it, it's not in my possession, I can remove myself from the possession of this chayfetz. So what actually is taking place is like this. Before this, the time when they put on the chart for Bia Chometz or Bittul Chometz, for the 6th hour, beginning of the 6th hour, so I say, I'm mevatel Chometz, and by saying that, what I'm saying is that I'm not repossessing the Chometz. So that's how it works according to the Ran. I'm not repossessing it, I'm saying that I don't want it. So according to the Ran, so now we understand, at least in one way, why Bittul could only work before the time that Chometz becomes Asur. Because once you pass that time, then it's already in my Rishus. Now to get rid of it, I have to get rid of it. I have to burn it or actually give it to a guy. I have to somehow really get rid of it, which we'll discuss later. But if before the time of where the Isur Chometz begins, then I could say I don't want to have this Chometz. And when I say I don't want to have this Chometz, I'm actually not allowing the Chometz to come back into my Rishus. How you like that? That's the second way. That's the Ran's way.
It never got back to your Rishus.
That's right.
Instantaneously getting rid of it.
Right.
That's just by a statement, though.
That's just by a statement.
So he basically is explaining, as far as in his thought, that when you're mevatel chometz, you're actually doing siluk.
Right.
Because otherwise, the bittul wouldn't work as far as he's concerned, because you need 3 people.
You can't just make a hefker.
So the way to get around that is you're not really making it hefker, you're making the siluk.
Right. Now you could actually make it hefker. You could actually pick it up, take it outside, and say, make a big sign. This is, anyone wants to come and take it, it's hefker. Maybe you could do that. That's a different issue. But actually by doing bittul, you're not doing that. By doing bittul, you're just not allowing the chometz to come back into your possession.
Well, to make it hefker, you would have to repossess it first.
Yeah, if it's yours, then you could make it hefker. Let's say, so the question is, there's a question. Let's say you didn't do bittul and you didn't sell your chometz, and it's Erev Pesach after Chatzos, and that is a big question. What do I do with my chometz? And it happens every year, unfortunately. Happens people, they get busy, they forget, they didn't do mechira, they've been vatal chometz, and there's chometz in their possession. What do? It's a real big issue. It's not so easy to rid yourself of the chometz, and part of it is because of this reason, because you really don't own it anyways, and the Torah is putting it in your shus, so something you really don't own, it's hard to disown. It's hard to get rid of. How are you going to get it out? So in halacha, there's a big question how to get rid of it. And the proper way is to burn it, actually. It's to destroy it. That's the real way. Start taking all the Cheerios out of the closet, start taking everything out. If you forgot to make a mechira, the proper way is to flush it down the toilet, do something which is actually destroying the chometz.
So what's the actual difference between siluk and bittul?
And hefker?
Yeah.
Hefker means I'm getting rid of it.
It's not a hefker,
I'm getting rid of the object
right.
from my possession. And siluk is I'm removing myself from it, but I'm doing it only on something which is not really mine. It only works for these kind of things. Okay, that's the Ran. There's a third way, which is the Ramban, which is similar to the Ran. He uses the same concept, that it's not really yours and the Torah is putting into your Rishus. But he says that since it's only the Torah put into my Rishus, so it's easier to get rid of. So he learns it's similar to Hefker, but normally Hefker has certain rules. Here the rules are waived because since it really shouldn't have been mine, and the Torah made it mine, so it's easy come, easy go. It's easier to get rid of. That's how the Ramban learned. So it's similar to the Ran. The difference is like this: that the Ramban comes out a little bit of a chiddush, which the place can bring down. Is one of the reasons we don't rely on bittul by itself, and one of the reasons we we try to get rid of the chametz another way is because we're chayshish that maybe in the middle of Pesach he'll see something. So, I didn't realize I had such an expensive piece of bread. Oh, such an expensive chametz. I didn't realize I had such a thing. And I really didn't want to be mevatel it. Understand? He'll see on Pesach, he'll say maybe he really wants it. So the Ran holds that since the bittul is a little weak, so to say, so if it comes out later that maybe you really wanted it, it could come out. In other words, if I do the real hefker, I can't backtrack on my hefker. You know, my kids do it all the time. Hefker, and then they say, "No, I'll take it back." You know, so you can't do that. Once you got rid of it, you can't take it back. But the bittul, which is maybe not 100% a real choshen mishpat halachic transaction, so maybe if we see that he didn't really mean it, maybe it would go back. It would actually go back on Pesach. So on Pesach, the Ramban holds you could backtrack on your bittul, and you'll actually have the chametz back in your rishus. So if a person on Pesach decides, I don't want the bittul anymore, I want to backtrack it, so according to the other reasons, it's too late, it's hefker already, it's not yours. But according to the Ramban, you could actually backtrack on it and get your chametz back, and now be able by your matzah in the middle of Pesach.
But are you allowed to possess it? Doesn't the pasuk tell? Oh.
So you do an avera. You're doing an avera, and then you'll. That's why we do other things. We don't want it to come to such a thing, and therefore we do other ways to get rid of the chametz. That's the Ramban. And
but if it's hefker, you can also repossess it. It's just maybe someone else possessed it.
Well, to repossess hefker, you would actually have to pick it up and be kind it back.
So
Right, so I was going to ask, how does the Rambam say that you do? Though? Just by machshava?
Yeah. Since you got rid of it with a bittul, you can get it back.
Well,
So that's the third way. The fourth way, or just to move on over here, the fourth way of getting rid of chametz is maybe what people had in their minds before, is actually very, very not similar to Rashi and the Rambam. It's very not similar to the first three ways, which are actually just getting it out of your rishus, disowning it in one form or another. The fourth way is we're actually turning it, like we say in the verse, we bought the v'lahavi ka'afa da'ara, we're actually, by doing bittul, it's a way of destruction of chametz. It's a way of actually getting rid of the actual chametz itself. There's one way is to burn it. The other way in your mind to nullify it, to make it that it's for you it's as if it's nothing. If it's worth nothing, and that's a form of hashpasa. It's a form of destruction of the chametz. This chametz is actually not worth anything.
And so what's the fourth reason? The physical or the mental?
Well, you do it. You don't physically do it. You do it in your mind. You say bittul, but that's a way of destroying the chametz. You're actually saying this chametz is not worth anything.
So if you took it back, it'd be like taking the dust back.
So that's a question. If I see later that no, to him it was worth something, so maybe it sort of shows that he never meant it in the beginning. He never meant it. It wasn't worth anything. This is a real issue. In other words, according to this last way, when you're making it a bittul, you're destroying the chametz by saying it to you it's nothing. But then maybe that's only lip service. We see later to him it's really worth something. Right. You know, go tell people to get rid of their chametz. No, I have to sell it. I need my box of Cheerios. I need it. I can't get rid of it. So they're not willing to make this thing worth nothing. If they're willing to say it's bottle and it's worth nothing, they would take it and they could, if you tell them, no, you got to get rid of it, they will take it and throw it out. So not everybody is ready to mevatel the chametz. But we say a yid wants to do the right thing. Push comes to shove. He doesn't want to be over by Motzei, doesn't want to be over the chametz on Pesach. So he really means that it should be bottled. But if you have a case where middle of Pesach he sees, this piece of bread I really liked, maybe that shows that he never meant to be mevatel it, and that's also a reason why we get rid of the chametz in other ways. But midaraisa, when a person says, I don't want this chametz, he's saying two things. Lavi hefker. Hefker can mean one of the three ways, real hefker, siluk, ran, ramban, or bottle kahafa da'ara, means like Rashi and the Rambam, I'm actually destroying the chametz in my hand, I'm total destruction.
That's what this last one is, the Rashi and Rambam?
Yeah. Okay, now, we'll move on a little bit. So, there's another interesting shiloh. There's another interesting shiloh also. This one has halachic nafkaminas. It's not clear how we paskin on it. What's my chiyuv? I have to get rid of the chametz. What is actually my chiyuv? Is my chiyuv to destroy the chametz? Tashpisu? I have a mitzvah I say to go ahead and destroy the chametz, get rid of it. Or my whole mitzvah is that I shouldn't have chametz on Pesach. My mitzvah I say of getting rid of the chametz is really a negative. Don't have chametz on Pesach. In other words, let's say you have a poor guy who doesn't have any money, doesn't have any chametz, he doesn't even have a house, he's a hobo, and he ate his last piece of bread on the 13th day of Hadisan, comes Erev Pesach, he hasn't got a stitch of bread, he doesn't have it. So is he Yotz's mitzvah of tashbisu, of getting rid of chametz, because he's not doing anything active to get rid of the chametz, he just doesn't have chametz. So maybe that's what it means. Tashbisu just means don't have chametz when it comes Pesach. Or is tashbisu a positive act? I have to go ahead and burn the chametz. Okay? Obviously you'll know that we go ahead and we burn chametz, but that doesn't mean that's how we paskin. That means we try to do, cover all our... we always try to cover all our angles. but in halacha, there's two ways to understand it. And there's a big nafkamina. Because what many people do today is they sell the chametz. They get rid of the house with the chametz, the whole thing. The whole kit and caboodle, as we say. No house, no chametz, or nothing. And then they don't have to do be a chametz. They don't own any chametz. So is that enough? Or no, there's a mitzvah to have chametz and destroy it. So there's a big shaila, and Chaschinach talks about it in Zvayas. There's a big shaila in halacha what the act is. In the Mishabur, it's meduyik, like I mentioned on Shabbos, that to sell everything is not the proper way to do it, because you're not doing the mitzvah of biur chametz. You're just not having, you don't have any opportunity to be doing biur chametz. You sold everything. The mitzvah of biur chametz is to have chametz and get rid of it. So l'chatchila we definitely try to be yotze the mitzvah in the proper form, which is tashbisu, to get rid of chametz.
When you sell it, aren't you selling it effective like at a later time than when you're actually burning it?
No. You sell it before there's mambia. We'll get to that in a moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to that in a moment. So what some people do is they sell part of the house and leave part of the house for the mitzvah of bedika and beer. Now, I just want to point something out. If a person goes to his house and he doesn't find any chametz because his wife did such a good job cleaning the house with chametz, and he looked at it, he didn't put out 10 pieces of bread, so he didn't find any chametz, that's also, we still make a bracha. Hashem says, I'll be your chametz, because actually looking for chametz to get rid of it, that's part of the mitzvah of getting rid of chametz. I have a house and there could be chametz in the house and I'm looking for it and I get rid of it. I'm yotzei by mitzvah's beer, even if, according to many shittas, even if I don't actually have chametz that I burn. As long as I went through the house, I went through it and I looked for chametz and there's nothing left, I could be yotzei my mitzvah possibly. But what we do is we put out 10 pieces of bread, or we save some bread from our meal Erev Pesach in the morning, so we have something to burn, to be yotzei l'chol hadayis, to be yotzei the mitzvah of destroying chametz. But technically, maybe you don't need that step. But definitely a person should have something available to look and to find chametz. L'chatchila, he shouldn't sell anything. He should do a real biur chametz on his old possessions and get rid of it. But the makam ha'torich, if it's difficult, we should bring down. If for some reason it's very difficult to do whatever the situation may be, that he can't clean out his whole house, clean out everything, so there is a heter to sell and to just leave something available to the...
So the more important part is the looking for the chametz, not the burning necessarily of the chametz.
Yeah, that's what about it, yeah.
Did we say something about locusts though?
Yeah, but clearly that's called a beer. I have a house and I'm looking for it and I'm getting rid of the chametz in my house.
Does everyone say that beer is a mitzvah?
Yeah, beer, we don't hold it, you actually have to burn. We burn it for Yehuda Shita, but throwing it out is also, not throwing it out is still your possession, but Mefar V'Zoril Ruach, getting rid of it from your possession is also called beer chametz.
Well, the case with the homeless person, we said it's a question.
He doesn't have a home, he doesn't have anything, he can't make a bracha, I'll be a chametz.
But we said he might still be yotzi, whatever the mitzvah is.
Yeah, according to those shittas, passively.
If we have shittas that say that way, but we still say a bracha.
Because the bracha is on the Durabanan. There's a chiv Durabanan to be baidik. Yeah.
So all the Rabbanan agree.
Yeah, for sure. You have to have a house to check. The bracha is on the Durabanan. You're checking your house.
It's
yeah. Now, you could go on to rice also.
If you hold.
Yeah.
If you don't, then you would say it's on the Rabbanan.
Now, okay. So that's the sort of mitzvah tashbisu is to get rid of the chametz. One of the best ways to do it is to have chametz and get rid of it. If a person can't, it's not possible, then he can't clean everything. It's too much. So then there's a heter to sell, which we'll get to, there's a heter to sell, and then you could check everything else. Or if you're going away, so you sell this house and you check where you're going. These are heterim that I used. Obviously, the best thing to do is a mitzvah say to get rid of chometz. The best thing to do is to get rid of chometz, to look around to get rid of it. But if it's a big tircha and it's not possible, then there's what to rely on to sell. But a person should always have something that he's checking in order to do the mitzvah of bir chometz. There's just to backtrack a moment. Another reason we're just not soymech on bittul alone is because there's a big question of chometz she'ovel of a Pesach.
When the Rabbi says that we're not soymech on bittul alone, what does that mean?
That means we also get rid of chometz, sell it or physically. Yeah, we don't have chometz around the house. Is because there's another issue which is chometz she'ovel of a Pesach. Another one is this very negei halacha l'maisa. In other words, if you have chometz after Pesach, you're not allowed, if chometz went over Pesach, so to say, you didn't do whatever you're supposed to do, and now you have it after Pesach, you're not allowed to eat it. It's asur, even after Pesach. So the question is, but if I did what I was supposed to do, I did bittul, I was mevatel the bread, and then after Pesach I want to eat it, right? I want my cake and eat it too. So I'm going to have the closets and I'll be mevatel it, and then after Pesach I'll eat it. So that doesn't work. We hold that if you do bittul, you can't go ahead and repossess it after Pesach and eat it. But there are some exclusions to this rule. There are some exclusions to this rule. In other words, there's many times, if I actually got rid of it, let's say I sold the chometz, then I could buy it back after Pesach and eat it. We all know that. I sell the chometz and I buy it back after. Because then it's not in my possession at all. I got rid of it, I could buy it back. There are cases where I could do bittul, where I could rely that I could eat the chometz after Pesach. For example, let's say there's a mapolos, the house collapsed, and there's chometz somewhere under the house. So it's in all my possession. I'm not mechuyev to go ahead and dig out the house to get out the chometz. Now there are parameters to the halacha we're not going to get into, but there's chometz dug under there, so I could just be mevatel beliboy v'dayei. I'm mevatel it. I'm mevatel that chometz. I don't have to go and we rely on this. Let's say I have a appliance in my house. I don't have to remove the appliance and look for chometz underneath, because I could just be mevatel that chometz. Anything which is buried under, which you never uncover, you never access it, right? So then I could just be mevatel it. If it's not going to come out, it's something which sometimes you move and you come back, that's different. But something which is staying there, you're not getting it out. So that I could just be mevatel b'liba v'dayei, I can mevatel it. Now let's say somehow after Pesach it re-emerges. So then possibly I could eat it after Pesach, because since I did all I was supposed to do, I did a bittul on it. So then it's chometz, it doesn't have a status of chometz shel Pesach, and possibly I should eat it. Shem Zalman brings a shaila, for example, very interesting shaila. It happened to me somewhat when I was moving to Toronto. This goes back almost 15 years ago. So I moved over Pesach. So in other words, I was living in Miami at the time. So I sent the stuff on a truck. And this was the deal. I sent it before Pesach. I didn't have a house at the time. I had a shower of beer chometz, bedikas chometz. I didn't have a place. And it was on the truck. And it arrived here. We picked it after Pesach. We came and pick it up over here. So the question is, a lot of shilas. First of all, how do you sell it? Which is not part of our discussion today. There's chometz there. But let's say there was chometz on that truck. So I'll be mevatel it. But now when it comes after the Pesach, comes to Toronto, can I go and eat it? So Shlomo Zalman wants to say, yeah, because since it's like something buried under, it's not really possible for you to get it without a tircha meruba. It's very difficult to get. Once it's on that truck packed in, until the date that you set up that you're going to pick it up, it's almost impossible to retrieve. So he says, so possibly you could eat that chometz after Pesach if you mevatel it. Yeah.
Are we saying we want to be able to eat the chometz?
The guy wants to know if you can eat it. There's something there.
You were saying the reason that we don't rely on bittul is so that we can eat it after Pesach. Is that what we're saying?
Well, it helps for that. You have to go. Yeah, you can't use the chometz anyways. If you mevatel it and it's still around, you're not going to be able to use it after Pesach. Yeah.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's a bad thing.
Oh, whatever. It's halach. Yeah. So this is a shaila that comes up. It comes up in other forms also. If some chometz after Pesach, if I'm allowed to eat the chometz after Pesach, depends on what I did to get rid of it on before Pesach.
How does that combine? Going back to Nathan's the question, because you've sold it and you're
Well, that's the case if I didn't sell it. If I sold it, there's no problem.
So selling and mevatel it, there's not a problem.
Yeah, if I sell, whatever I sell, I could use afterwards, yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that I understand exactly what you're saying. Selling the chometz is a contradiction, or is another way of being the bottle of your chometz?
Okay, let's discuss this now. So we do a few things. Let me explain it.
You're bringing out, and it is confusing.
Yeah.
It is confusing. So many different ways of getting rid of your chometz.
Right.
That the layman over here, me, is losing it.
Okay, so let's go back. Okay, let's go back. There's 3 ways to get rid of the chametz.
Sell it, you don't have to mevatel.
How you know house?
You have to mevatel.
You have to mevatel.
You better have
And you sell it.
Yeah.
Just build better.
Okay,
Build it better.
there's 3 ways we get rid of chametz. There's mevatel, there's actually burning the chametz, and then there's selling the chametz. Okay, there's 3 ways. And the 3 can't mix. In other words, if I mevatel it, I'm being mevatel it. It's dust, it's hefker, it's nothing. I can't sell it, right? If I burn it, I obviously can't sell it. I can't burn the guy's chametz. It belongs to him. He'll take me to court. So the things don't go together really. If I can't do all 3 together really. But what I'm doing is that I'm covering my back, so to say.
Right.
Because what I'm saying is that if I'm mevatel the chametz, maybe there's something that for some reason the bittul didn't work on, or something I don't want the bittul to work on. I want to eat this after Pesach. So the Cheerios in my closet that I want to eat after Pesach, I'm not being mevatel. So that has to be sold because I'm not being mevatel. But something which actually a bittul took place on, obviously there's no sale on that. But what I'm doing is I'm doing all 3 processes because I don't know, maybe one didn't work.
So these are like fences
Yeah.
to be more
Sure.
stringent on yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if
What do you need to destroy? Xavier the Rabbanim,
This is all
can't
Rabbanim.
use it after Pesach?
yeah,
They want, because they want you to do something else.
yeah,
They don't want
they want you to get rid of it. Yeah.
So how do you sell something if you're mevatel it? How do I wind up selling it?
So let's go into the sale a moment. Okay, let's just discuss the sale briefly over here. There are 2 aspects of the sale. The first one is someone who wants to save a closet full of chametz, and he wants to use it after Pesach, so he sells it. Okay, if you're selling that chametz, you're not doing anything else to it. You're not burning it, and you're not being mevatel it, because you're keeping it till after Pesach. So that's just a straightaway sale. There's no strings attached. That's a sale. There are many people that will rely on a heter mechira, on chametz gomer. They'll sell schnapps maybe, which we'll discuss later, but they won't rely on a heter mechira to sell chametz gomer because maybe there's some reasons the mechira won't work, and therefore they'll get rid of any real chametz, and they just make a sale to sort of cover their backs, like we said. That after they did everything, they want to make a sale just to make sure that in case something didn't work, there's still some chametz around which he wasn't mevatel, and something might not work, he's covered, he's sold, there's no chametz left, because whatever is left is sold to the guy. So that's another aspect of the heter mechira, which many people do. Many people will come to sell the chametz, and they'll ask them, what chametz do you have? How much do you sell? What's the value? He says, no value. There's no chametz. I'm just selling. Why are they selling? They're selling because they want to make sure, in case they might have forgotten something. You know, sometimes it happens. Oh, I didn't realize I have in my cottage, I have chametz there. You forget. You know, you don't always remember all the chametz you have, so therefore you want to sell in order to cover your grounds. So now the question comes, what he was asking earlier, if they sell the chametz, they actually sell the chametz before the time you say beer. They sell it earlier. Because
you're going away earlier from your house, so you have to sell it.
Well, you give it to the rabbi, but the rabbi sells it Erev Pesach. So he's going to sell it Erev Pesach. It's not sold until he sells it. Now he's going to sell it Erev Pesach. It's going to be like about an hour before, usually comes out, before you actually do the beer and the bittul. So there's a few problems here. First of all, once he sold the chametz, who gave you a right to burn George's chametz, or Ron's Adhedis, Ted's? Who gave you a right to burn Ted's chametz? It's his. He bought it from you. And then, 2, if you sold it already, what are you doing bittul on? It's all sold. You sold every last chametz. It says in the Shtar Mechira, any chametz that's in your possession, you're selling. So it a little bit debunks the whole beer chametz, your whole mitzvah. You got rid of all your mitzvah. Here I'm going ahead and giving a whole share that you shouldn't sell everything. You should do beer, you should do bedika, you should do the mitzvah, and then we go ahead and we write a shtar and we sell it. So there were many achronim that were makbid to sell it after the beer, to sell it after the bittul and the beer, But we don't do that. We don't do that because, first, for a number of reasons, but the main reason is because you're running out of a lot of time. Because you can't sell the Chometz after a certain point on Erev Pesach. You can't, physically. Once the Chometz is Asur B'Hana, you can't sell it.
I mean, you would do the transaction earlier, but you'd say it'd be effective at this time. I don't understand why that would be a logistical problem.
Okay, kinyonim are complicated. So if you want to make a kinyon now for later, you run into a lot of complications. Yeah. So that's one problem. And then that's one issue. So one issue is that if you're actually selling the chametz too late, it could be a real issue. So you got to sell it early. There's a few other issues that they have. So another idea was to sell the chametz, but to say I am not selling what I'm burning and what I'm being mevatel. You know.
That makes a lot more sense, actually.
From a practical point of view, we're having the Rav sell the Chometz for us.
Right.
So the Rav is selling it like you just said, the last, like, very close to Pesach or something?
Yeah, like
an hour before Pesach.
No, an hour before you burn your chametz.
An hour before I burn the Chometz.
Yeah.
So. So I'm burning something else,
Yeah. So we say, so the Maisa, we don't play around with serious things like this. We don't play around with the sale of Mechira, and we don't put any clauses in it. We just sell it straight. It's worth it for us to have this question rather than have other problems, have people's chametz that aren't sold. So therefore we just sell it. Any rabbi is going to sell it without any strings attached. He's going to sell it whenever he has a chance to sell it. And the poor guy burns Ted's chametz. We assume that it's understood to Ted and all the other guys out there that any chametz that's already put in a bag and set aside for burning is not sold. We just make that assumption, but then we actually go ahead and burn it. But this shadow really...
Can you say that too?
No, we don't make things complicated because you don't want to put a clause in there that's going to destroy the whole mechira. Now, it does come out an issue if I find chametz on Pesach, right? The Shulchan Aruch says I find chametz on Pesach, burn it, or kafel a kli and burn it chal moed, but you got to burn it. But the question, what do you mean burn it? How could I burn Ted's chametz? I sold it to him. You know, you sold all your chametz. How do I burn it? That's a question.
Because that chametz was not sold because you're designating certain places.
I didn't.
So you found this chametz probably in the place that you didn't designate.
No. In the shtar we write every chametz in the house. We want to cover everybody's case.
I got lost again. The bedika and the being mevatel for sure we are doing before Zman Bir. That's for
correct.
sure.
That's correct.
I'm doing it the night before.
That's right. Not the night before.
We leave town, right? So the night before, I'm doing bedika, and then of course I'm being mevatel. Now the Rav is going to be selling the chametz like the next morning.
No, but you do another bittul the next morning because you're not mevatel chametz that you know about. You say it twice, kol chamira. You say one at night and one in the morning.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yes, you do. When you burn the chametz, you say kol chamira.
Yeah, but I'm not burning chametz. I'm on my way to Lakewood.
Wherever you're going, you better say this kol chamira.
On the way?
On the way. Wherever you are, before the Zman that it says in the Luach, take out your machzer and say kol chamira because we say things...
Just before Zman Bir.
Yeah, because first of all, you ate breakfast, I hope.
Yeah.
So you have chametz that you weren't mevatel. And two, in the first one at night, you only say chametz that I don't know about. But chametz that you know about is not included.
Well,
so therefore you say it again. You have to say again in the machs before the Zman Bir. You say again kol chamira.
Is there any need to burn it very early in the day so that you're burning it before
yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. There's a reason to burn it earlier.
All these years,
but then there are reasons to burn it later. Okay, yeah, I don't have time to get into that.
Either way.
Yeah, but you're right. It's good to be burn it earlier. You can have in mind you're not selling it, yeah, but it doesn't say it in the contract.
Even in English law, you have a concept of an implied term.
Yeah, it could be it's implied. It could be it's understood that what I have in my bag, I'm not selling.
It could be?
Yeah, it could be.
Or it is. Well, how does Ted know?
Take it to a lawyer if it comes up.
Watching that question.
Okay, now I just want to point out one thing. I was late. Point out one thing which you mentioned earlier, which is chametz from, let's say, okay, let's go this way around, where you're in America and you have chametz in Israel. Okay? You own chametz in Israel. Israel starts earlier, right? Israel starts earlier. So what's the halacha and what do we do? And it goes the other way around also. If you're in Eretz Yisrael, so Pesach ends later over here. If you're in Israel, you have chametz over here. So first we have to say, do you go bust at a guy or you go bust at a chametz? Who's the chametz go by? Me or I am, or goes where the chametz is? So just briefly, the Ikar Adin is like this: that there's two aspects to the Isser chametz. There's one aspect which is my Isser. I'm not allowed to own chametz. That's the Staver. It goes where I am. I'm in America. It didn't start. I'm in Canada. It didn't start chametz yet. The Isser chametz didn't start yet. So what do I care if chametz in Eretz Yisrael? I am not in Pesach. It's not Pesach for me. So I don't have a problem. That's the Pashut Svara. But there's another aspect, which is that the Chometz is in itself Asur B'Hano, he said. Chometz in Zman Isur Chometz becomes a Kol Mitzvah L'Vara. The Gemara says, if I see Chometz, even if it belongs to someone else, if I see Michael's Chometz, I'm a chayv to go burn it. I don't ask him any questions, I burn it. Hakol Mitzvah L'Vara. So my chametz in Eretz Yisrael, if they go say, hey, what's this chametz doing there, they have to burn it. So this chametz becomes not asur b'hana, it becomes not worth any money anymore. And like we said, once it's not worth anything, I can't sell it. I have to sell it before it becomes not worth anything. And therefore, if I'm in Chutz La'aretz and my chametz in Eretz Yisrael, even though I may not be over on any yisur by having chametz until it comes, but I may not be able to get rid of that chametz practically once it's Zman Pesach in Eretz Yisrael, unless I get a guy to pick it up and take it. But I might not be able to get rid of it. Therefore, you have to sell it before the Zman of Isser in Eretz Yisrael. That's why we do a Mechirus Yud Gimel, we call. We do a Mechir for anyone who has possession in Eretz Yisrael. We do a Mechira of Chometz, Mechirus Yud Gimel, where the Rav sells it the night before, to cover the grounds of the chametz in Eretz Yisrael. There's a lot more to this topic which we don't have time to, but I just wanted to bring that out because we discussed that chametz inherently becomes void and not worth anything. So that's true, even if I'm not over on the Isser chametz, but the chametz in Eretz Yisrael itself is not worth anything, so I can't sell it. And then tomorrow I will be over the Isser chametz because I can't sell it. So therefore, I should make a mechira on the day before. So someone has some possessions there, that's the proper way to do it. Okay, the shir was dedicated to the memory of Rabbi
Newman.
Rabbi Leibby Newman, Zaksal. Should be a aliyah for his neshama.
Amen.